When I was 15, my world felt like it had been flipped upside down. My name is Emily Parker, and up until that year, life was simple. It was just me, my mom Sarah, and our quiet little life in a small town in Ohio. My parents had divorced when I was only 8, and even though my biological father visited from time to time, he wasn't really involved in my daily life. My mom did everything for me. She worked full-time, kept the house together, and still managed to show up for all my school plays, basketball games, and late-night study sessions. But then something happened that I never saw coming. My mom remarried. The man she married was Michael Johnson. He wasn't flashy or loud, but there was something about him that stood out. He was steady, calm, and kind in ways that sometimes felt unusual because they were so genuine. He was the type of man who held doors open for strangers, who remembered people's names, and who always asked how your day had been, and actually listened to your answer. At first, I didn't know what to think. When Mom told me she had been seeing someone, I didn't know how to feel. A part of me wanted her to be happy, but another part of me feared she was replacing my dad. I was worried that letting someone else into our family meant I would lose the bond one had with her. Michael moved into our house about 6 months after they got engaged, and the adjustment wasn't easy. Suddenly, there was another person in the kitchen when I came down for breakfast, another pair of shoes by the front door, another voice in the living room when I got home from school. I kept my guard up. I was polite but distant. Michael, on the other hand, was patient. He never pushed too hard. He would ask me about school, compliment my drawings when I left them scattered on the dining table, or quietly fix things around the house that I didn't even realize were broken. For a long time, I didn't respond much. I figured if I ignored him, he'd eventually stop trying. But he didn't. One rainy Saturday, about 3 months after he had moved in, something changed. I was sitting on the porch swing, upset after a fight with my best friend. Tears had been sliding down my face without me realizing it. I thought I was alone, but then Michael stepped outside holding 2 mugs of hot cocoa. He didn't say anything at first. He just handed me a cup and sat beside me, sipping his own. We sat in silence for a while, the sound of the rain filling the space between us. Finally, he said, sometimes the people we care about the most hurt us the deepest. But it doesn't mean the friendship is over. It just means it's real. I don't know why those words stuck with me, but they did. That was the first time I realized he wasn't just trying to be in my life because he married my mom. He genuinely cared. Over the next year, things shifted. Slowly, I let my guard down. I started to notice the little things Michael did for me. He helped me practice free throws when I joined the basketball team, even though he had never played much himself. He learned how to cook spaghetti the way I liked it, with extra garlic bread on the side. He never tried to take the place of my dad, but he was present in a way my dad had never been. One day, he surprised me in a way that would forever change how I saw him. It was the day of my big art showcase at school. I had been working on a painting for weeks, staying up late and stressing over every detail. I wanted it to be perfect. My mom had promised to come, but that week had been brutal at her job, and the morning of the showcase, she told me she couldn't make it. I tried to act like I didn't care, but deep down I was crushed. That evening, as I stood nervously by my painting in the school gym, I scanned the crowd and didn't see anyone familiar. I kept telling myself it was fine, that I didn't need anyone there to support me. But then I heard a voice. Wow, this is incredible. I turned around and there was Michael, standing in front of my painting with a proud smile. He was holding a small bouquet of flowers, awkwardly wrapped in paper, like he had picked them up last minute from the grocery store. "You came?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Of course I came," he said. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." At that moment, something broke inside me. The wall I had built between us crumbled. He didn't have to be there, but he chose to be. And not only that, he looked at me like my work mattered, like I mattered. Later that night, when we got home, I hugged him for the first time. Really hugged him. He seemed surprised, but he hugged me back tightly, and for the first time, I thought to myself, maybe having a stepdad isn't so bad after all. From that point on, Michael became more than just my mom's husband. He became someone I could trust. When I struggled with math, he sat with me for hours trying to explain it in ways that made sense. When I had a rough day at school, he took me for ice cream and didn't press me to talk until I was ready. When I turned 16 and got my first job at a local cafe, he was the one who taught me how to budget my paycheck. But the moment that truly defined our relationship came 2 years later, during my senior year of high school. I had been accepted into an art program at a university across the country. It was my dream, but it was also expensive. Even with scholarships, there were gaps we couldn't afford. I didn't say anything, but I quietly started looking at other, more affordable options closer to home. I told myself it wasn't a big deal, that maybe my dream could wait. One evening, I overheard my mom and Michael talking in the kitchen. My mom was worried about the tuition. And then I heard Michael say, "We'll figure it out. Emily deserves this. I'll take on extra shifts if I have to." I froze. He wasn't just supporting me emotionally, he was willing to sacrifice for me in ways he didn't have to. I wasn't his biological daughter.
He didn't owe me anything.
And yet, he was willing to do whatever it took to make sure I got the future I wanted. That night, I cried quietly in my room, but they weren't sad tears. They were tears of gratitude, of love, of realizing that sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you. Years later, when I stood on stage at my college graduation, I looked out into the audience. My mom was there, cheering loudly, but right beside her, clapping just as hard, was Michael. And in that moment, I knew without a doubt that he wasn't just my stepdad. He was my dad in every way that mattered. Even now, whenever I think about all the little things he did, the hot cocoa on the porch, the flowers at my art showcase, the hours of patience teaching me math, and the quiet sacrifices he made, I can't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude. I couldn't believe what my stepdad did back then, and sometimes I still can't. But I'm so glad he did. Because thanks to him, I know what unconditional love truly looks like.